How about another round of applause for the Duluth East String Quartet? That's Nancy Swanson, Meredith Stevenson, Mac Johnson, and Justin Taylor. My name is Jim Perlman, and I'm the chairperson of the Duluth Poet Laureate Project. And on behalf of our committee, I welcome you to this afternoon of poetry readings by area high school students. Special thanks are due to John Sorensen for arranging for the use of the Sacred Heart Music Center, and Penny Perry, who designed the programs and the posters promoting this event. Thanks also to our community co-sponsors, the Friends of the Duluth Public Library, Lake Superior Writers, the Arrowhead Reading Council, Zeitgeist Arts Cafe, Lake Superior College, and the English departments at UMD, St. Scholastica, and lastly, Minnesota Public Radio, who donated $300 worth of air spots to promote today's reading. How about a round of applause for that? I would also invite your consideration to make a donation to help support our programming. There's a donation basket in the entryway, and we very much appreciate your support. All of the money that's donated goes directly to our programming costs. We have refreshments available, cookies, things to drink, and please help yourself. Please sign our email contact list, and we will send out a message informing you of our future events. And now let me introduce Jim Johnson, the 2014-2016 Duluth Poet Laureate, who organized today's event and will be the master of ceremonies. Jim?
Thank you, Jim. I want to thank Jim Perlman, all of the members of the Poet Laureate Committee. I want to thank Sacred Heart for allowing us to use this beautiful facility, the Duluth East String Quartet again for giving us beautiful music in the beautiful setting. I want to thank again NPR for promoting. And I want to thank Liz Manette, who is filming us for Public Access TV. And I want to thank all of you who came out to support poetry today. The reason I think that I tried to organize this reading is because poetry is sometimes supported for elementary students, but it seems to me that a lot of times in secondary and high school that it's not. It kind of loses focus because so much effort is put into teaching writing essays particularly, and that's good. When I went to high school, there wasn't as much emphasis on writing as there is today, and that's good. But in the high schools, a lot of times the emphasis is on the essay, the 5-paragraph graduation requirement, and instruction as college preparation, and so on and so forth. And sometimes the creative writing, the writing of poems and stories, gets neglected. And I think that there are always a few students who have the need to write journals, write poems, write stories. And so I think that today we're trying to give an opportunity for those students who do that to have a chance to present their work and get a little recognition and applause. I also think that there are a few teachers who have been supporting these students, teachers who are teaching creative writing or offering a special after-school program for creative writing, and they kind of recognize the need that these students have to write and are inspiring and encouraging it. And so we want to recognize those teachers too, because a lot of our schools have had pretty big enrollments, large class sizes, and it's easy for teachers who have a number of classes and larger classes to kind of overlook extra writing and to take on more of a workload. So we want to recognize those people and to give them credit for what they're doing. So to quote Kevin Garnett, here's how we roll. We'll start with, we're going to start with Cloquet High School. Renee Montgomery is the teacher, and our first reader will be Isaac Blinn.
This is No Reservations. My knives are sharp, too sharp, unused and worn and unwanted. Clean stove and empty oven, no tickets in the window. The open sign flickers, not one customer to avoid the rain. The fare is light and warm and it's creative, but not one review. No dirty dishes, no unbussed tables, no reservations in the book. I am host, server, and chef, but I do nothing at all. Thank you.
Rain weeps down fanned pine boughs, frogs hum cacophony, while field mice burrow. Dry leaves chatter under bullets of water. Dull clouds bulge the sky close and totter down in fat drops frigid and austere. Here's the drizzled spring blooming in sheets clear. Thunder shouts as bony birch descends. Earth shivers to life when winter ends. Lightning bursts blinding veins of white. People pack houses like sardines. Doors slam tight. Televisions drown the wind shrieks and cackles. Screens trapping bodies that invisible shackle. And this is the poem wrote me. Gazes perch soft on the paper and cling to lines under my fingers. I'm writing nothing. I can't talk now. I'm too busy being built. All coffeeed old breath and thoughts spilt. Lord knows the poem wrote me. See these hands carved from branches gnarled and old. Watch my pen drop at the first bite of cold. They drag words in their crackling wake. Listen as they pop from joints that ache. Oh no, the poem wrote me. It dressed my flesh in pallor, full moon white, and pushed my eyes into craters dark as night. Seldom does a voice rupture that crimson smudge, where silence drips out like sludge. No, oh no, the poem wrote me. But aching branches lead to a sturdy root, and the wrinkled page has no stutter to dilute. Ideas wrapped in blazing light, the poem will never cease to write.
Circle of life. Beginning as a baby in the womb, continuing as a baby in the world. A new life starting the journey in a cruel, harsh world. Crying, but happy and cheerful. Growing into adolescence, starting to see the problems of life, wondering how to make it through, seeking out their meaning and purpose, intent on seeing this life through. Working and working as an adult, wondering what their life has become. Marriage and children added to many problems. What happened to those happy years? Then that adult lies on the bed, wondering, where is the end? It's near, they see. They think about the lives they lived and how well they had it, and then that life is gone, and then they start again as a baby in the womb. A peaceful night's end. Their path alit with flickering lights, creating quite an amazing sight as they walked hand in hand by firefly lights. Rose bushes twinkled as he picked her a rose, and trapped inside a soft pink petal, a little creature set it aglow. She gasped at the firefly's light. A cherry tree swayed with the passing breeze, blossoms fell from above, covering their path, appearing again by a firefly's light. The clock struck 12, they started off with a frown, for this night had come to an end. A peaceful night, led by firefly's light, but all good times must end. He leaned down and kissed her one last time good night, and they walked their separate ways, each led home by firefly's light.
This is a story based off of the novel Lord of the Flies by William Golding. It's called After the Fire. The storm has passed. Night is clear, the air fresh and cooler than before. The forest is soaked and shining. Leaves reflect celestial light through glossy coats of rainwater. Pink rock is slippery and dampened to a ruddier blush. A miraculous spray of stars and planets trembles against a liquid sky. The beach has been abandoned. Remains of a large bonfire form a bruise on the far end, near a rise in the pink rock. Miniature dunes kicked up by frantic feet dimple the sand. Hastily carved pathways are poked into the exterior of the damp forest, weaving through the thick foliage like long fingers. Broken and littered across the beach are sharpened sticks, soiled at the ends with a black-looking dye. The sea sighs and gasps to a sleepy rhythm, as if it were tired of its pattern and wishes to lie still on the shoreline, silent in awe of the sky. All is calm, rid of the blue lightning and cracks of thunder. The dancing savages and their demonic fire have dissipated. But the beach expresses no solace in this quiet, glazed aftermath. Instead, numbness. The stars shiver. A boy lay crumpled and broken, dirtied with black-looking dye, on a section of shoreline. His is the only heartbeat not hidden deep in the forest, and soon the fading pulsations recognize their location and fall in sync with the ebb and flow of the water. His breath follows, and he is falling asleep, lying still and silent, drifting out and up. A rustling in the leaves, the snapping of twigs and a brush of grass. Wet leaves shake and shower raindrops onto a filthy mess of fair hair. A shadowy figure stumbles onto the beach, gangly and angular with hunger. His drunken footsteps beat the moonlit sand. He clutches his wounds and spear, whimpering to himself. His head is a throbbing pain, a horrific circulation of fire, painted bodies and wild eyes, punctuated by screams. The shock of passion has faded, but an electric buzz still quickens his pulse. The world appears flushed in fever through his vision. Through half-closed eyes, he examines the slaughtered beast. There is a spine, sculpting a line of knobs into the curved back, and a weaving of bony arms and legs gathered close to the quiet heart. There is a head, angled so the pointed chin lingers only an inch above the small chest, and a nest of coarse black hair knotted with dried blood. There are limp little feet and droopy eyelids. Its skin is torn, bitten, punctured, ruined. A child's cry for mercy is ghost-like on parted lips. A picture rises before him. He sees a boy's face gaping in a scream, gray eyes wide and lit with fear. The boy is a small, raven-haired creature encircled with pointed sticks. There is a pulsation of adrenaline, screams like the manic buzzing of flies. Then, in his muddled memory, he sees the spears meet flesh. The savage drops his spear. His head is a throbbing pain, a blinding flash of fire in the night, constant and angry behind his eyes. Fire, fire everywhere, dry sand beneath his feet, gunshot thunder shattering, heartbeat deafening, red pulsations hot as flame. Kill the beast, cut his throat, spill his blood. He was blind, it was dark, he didn't know. A boy's face gaping in a scream, gray eyes, small, raven-haired, pointed sticks, pulsing a scream like the manic buzzing of flies. Kill the beast, cut his throat, spill his blood. Footsteps wild and desperate shatter the sand. A rustling in the leaves, droplets fall on mud and muddy skin. The screaming savage, blinded by his visions, hurtles himself back into the abyss. The beach has been abandoned. Cool breezes and glazed numbness. Ruddy pink rock, shining leaves, an ocean falling asleep on the shore. Under a spray of stars, the dozing waves reach for the broken creature and cradle him in their wake. Finding comfort, they pull him deeper and closer until he rests beneath the surface, soft and blue and quiet.
Take a breath. Take a breath, disappear. Maybe then you'll see why you're here. See people pass without a care. They're trying to hide within their despair. Just stop and think about what you'd do if people stopped and cared for you. Now think of a world of peace and joy where people help each other and emotions aren't just a toy. And then you can see what you can do, and maybe you can see that change starts with you.
Someday I am going to be a mother, and over time I will lose my selfishness. I will understand how it feels to sacrifice everything for somebody that you love. I will know what it's like to look at someone and see pure innocence and beauty. And I will finally be proud of something that I created. My muscles will be bigger and my smile will be brighter. My car will be messier, but my heart will be lighter. Until then, I will find joy in the little things like good morning texts and poetry, fresh-baked bread and spontaneous hugs, music and blankets, hot chocolate and butterflies. I will look in the mirror and tell myself that I am beautiful no matter how much I don't believe it. I will say thank you, I'm sorry, and I love you every chance I get. I will take too many pictures in hopes that I will remember every detail of every moment. And I will hang on to my naivety because I believe that the world is good. Thank you.
Game changer. Let's play a game. You know the one, little people, little cars, picking the path on a whim of a wheel. We're playing the game of life. It started off as so much fun. We were so excited to be included, we didn't bother to read the rules, diving in head first, completely unaware of what was in store. We just wanted to play the game. We were too young to realize a crucial part of games, though. We can't all be winners. Some of us are going to lose. And I'm not doing so well. See, I was hoping to spin an 8, lead a life of happiness and success, stress-free. That was the goal. But I spun a 2, and I landed on mental illnesses. Depression, anxiety, and insomnia. Lose part of your mind, be so tired you can't focus. Be too afraid to move forward. And I'm not the only one. No, I swear this game is rigged because there are far too many of us being dealt crappy hands. But the game keeps on going, people keep on spinning, they keep on playing, unaware of how many of us have fallen behind. Or maybe they just don't care. We might be playing the game, but we aren't really part of the game. The rules weren't made to accommodate for broken pieces. There is no next step for us. They didn't write one. They forgot us. And no, it hasn't escaped my mind that there are people looking at us wondering why we can't just play like everybody else, telling us we're not trying hard enough. But when I'm 16 and over half of my friends have some kind of mental illness, and somewhere there's a boy playing solitaire Russian roulette, hoping this will finally be the shot that ends it, and somewhere there is a girl playing tic-tac-toe on her skin with a knife. There are kids playing hide-and-go-seek with their mirrors, their hiding places being under the covers of beds they can't seem to get out of. We traded jump ropes and tire swings to jump from bridges and to swing from nooses. There are kids writing poems, hoping to feel less like game pieces that no one wanted and more like people. All because of this game, no one bothered to put a warning label on. How many more kids do we have to lose before society realizes it's not playing fair? Stop telling us we need to try harder. You have no idea how hard it is for some of us to get out the door. Stop telling us happiness is a choice. It's not. If I could have picked happiness, don't you think I would have? Stop telling us you know our minds better than we do, that you know best. If people knew what was best for kids like me, the rules would have changed by now. We are part of the game like everybody else. Don't brush us aside like we don't matter, we do. I know what the rules say, but I refuse to relearn how to hate myself over and over and over again. I've already done that. It was what I was taught to do. And it was a direction that was far too easy to follow. But I am done playing these rules. I am starting on a new path, and this one will be harder, so I'm calling it acceptance. I am not ashamed of my mental illnesses. They are a part of me that I might not like, but they are a part of me. And the only way we can fix a broken game is to first love our own broken bits until we no longer see them as broken. While the only thing I might have learned from playing society's game is how cruel some people can be, that has only placed determination in my veins, steel in my spine, and given me an undying love for those who loved me first. For those who taught me I could love myself. I will not be another forgotten name headed down the path called suicide or loneliness, or was too scared to live so they didn't. Yes, I have insomnia. Yes, I have anxiety. Yes, I have depression. And yes, I am going to make it to the end of this game, and when I do, I'm going to turn around and wait. Because you are making it to the end of this game too.
Platypi and math. Yes, platypi and math. That's the title of this poem, but that's not how it started. I wanted to write a poem that could change the world. I wanted to make a difference, tell people how awful our society is. But then I realized, how boring is that? I could rhyme and act like I know what I'm talking about, but I mean, look at me. Do I honestly look like the type of person who knows exactly what they're talking about? Well, can I tell you a secret? I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I can't even understand the difference between a concave up and a concave down cubic graph in pre-calculus. And sorry to all the math teachers out there, but when will I ever use that y equals negative b plus or minus square root of 4 squared all? See, I don't even remember it. I just tried to sing a song to a mathematical formula, to Pop Goes the Weasel, and I wanted to write a poem about what is right and what is wrong. Do you kind of catch my drift? So then I thought, what should I write about? I could write something crazy like purple platypuses, or is it platypi? Well, I like platypi. Or I could start with, roses are red, violets are blue. Did you know that violets are only blue when they aren't in full bloom? So basically, you'd be writing a poem about a premature flower. So romantic, right? I mean, I could write about that, but I'm not going to. I think I know what I should write about. But since this is a pre-written poem, I already knew, but that's not the point. The point is, I said all those random things to prove a few points. First point, I don't know what I'm doing. Second point, who actually does? Third point, pre-calculus is really hard. And fourth point, it's actually platypi or platypuses. You can use either, I looked it up. We'll just focus on those first 2 points, though, as much as I like platypi. I may not know a lot about life, and I may not have it all together. But what I do know is that I'm not the only one. I know that death happens often, and some people in my life have come very close. And I know that my name is Dakota, and I love to write poetry. And I know that I was given this amazing opportunity to write and read my poetry. And I know that I want to stand out, and I want you to remember me. So I spent hours writing poetry, trying to figure out the best way to go about this. I wrote poems about beauty, poems about love, poems about poetry. I wrote poems about death, about war, poems about reminiscing. But if you think, how many poems have you heard with the same words, that spoke the same things, with the same exact words? And if you think about it this way, I know there are 26 letters in the English alphabet, and these letters are combined in many different ways. I could literally say anything with 26 measly markings, and so can anyone else in this world. But I chose to put them into poetry. So in order to make you remember me, I wrote a poem about not knowing things. I wrote a poem about platypi, because who doesn't like that? There's actually probably a few people that don't like that, but that's not the point. The point is I know a lot of things, and you know a lot of things. But we both know different things, and that is amazing. And I went through extreme lengths to make sure you remember me. But while I did that, I also said something very important. I'm learning as I go through life, and every day I learn new things. And with so many things in this world to learn, no one knows what they're doing. And though I don't know what I'm doing, sometimes I like to pretend I do. And we as people go through great strides to achieve this. So I will tell you what I could do. I could learn random facts, like how Norway knighted a penguin once, or when you yawn and stretch at the same time, it's called pandiculation. I could act prim and proper and stick my nose up in the air and act like I'm better than everyone else. Or I could carry around piles of books and recite the Declaration of Independence. But I'm not going to do those things, because I've gotten to the point in this poem where saying any more won't continue to prove that point, won't make you remember me. But I guess now I understand it doesn't even matter if you remember me. I just hope you learned something. So yes, platypi and math. That's the title of this poem. But that's not how it's ending. Penguins and pandiculation. That's how it's ending.
Hello. For my senior project, I published a book of poetry that I compiled, and so I'm going to read 5 poems from that book. The book is called Progression, and this poem is called In the Fields. It's about a baby deer that I found in a field. In the fields, there is not time, but a series of breezes, dusks and dawns, an abundance of green, all freshly impressed with a lively redolence. The breeze, not ominous of an approaching darkness or danger, revitalizes the land while shaking sadness from the trees and granting grass permission to dance with kindred spirit. It assists the bird's flight and brings pollen to young bees. It's a sweet and tender breeze. The sun rises and falls here, avowing both songbirds and owls, white rabbits and possums, the capacity to live and relive. The sun, not sweltering, embellishes the scenes with trembling, warm hues, and by night, destitute blues. This collection of grass holds the sweetest of blades, leaving not a scratch on any of the delicates that frolic and pant about, day in and day out. Oh, how quaint and docile. My next poem is called Inevitable, and it's about the animals that have to get ready for winter. The creatures scramble about, knowing of the perilous subjections to follow the autumn's opening. Mustering all opportunities to survive the presumed hardships is their lone burden now. The leaves have been whispering lately, most often when the winds grow bitter. These disconnected, dried veins recognize what is to come. Soon, they will venture to the forest floor, believing that this will keep them from a wintry season. Not a soul-conscious being will exist by tomorrow. All leaves, cursed into relics, will lay rumpled, condemned by the ravenous winds and the sun's betrayal of abandonment. The trees will bear their truths, revealing their tired, wrinkled skin, which has faded and grayed over time, no longer equipped with the misleading green leaves, but rather the lines of hardships experienced. My next poem is called Influenced, and it's about domestic abuse. The air has become violent, whipping and thrashing all around, forcing branches to waver as the bravest birds now tremble. Chests expand, filling with an unwanted rage. Deflating, their breaths escape them, though the pain remains. My fourth poem is called Evolved, and it's about the beauty of women. She is an ocean, though much more than mere water. Her body, an abundance of beauty, lies covered in wondrous skin, which conceals all depths of her demeanor, and I am left completely unaware of what malice may lie beneath my tread. She holds no concreteness, not in her eyes or her breaths, and not in how she belongs. She yields no habitation. She yields no boundaries as habitation mends her alluring mien. She, the epitome of fluidity, holds my heart in her ocean, and I don't want it back. And my last poem is called Misconception, and it's about how hardships can affect us, but it doesn't make us worth less. You can look at an apple and see its bright skin, variations of red, though nothing within. All of its dents and all of its faults may plague what is true. Yes, it's browning, imperfect, but that's true for you too. You see, time wears us down and turns porcelain to dust, but shovels are still shovels when covered in rust.
The loss of individuality affects all teens. We are afraid of who we are because society only accepts the clones. So we, as individuals, fear not being accepted. On the other hand, some of us do try to be ourselves, but we end up outcasts. Others follow society and never live up to their true selves. Either way, we're forced to live in our own skin, whether as someone else or ourselves. Imperfection. We were scars in the eyes of society, scars that do not fade and cannot be erased. Our imperfection was our blanket. It clothed us with a warmth which never reached our souls. We were discarded like crumpled pieces of paper, yet we did not cry. How could we? We were stung by words, knifed by glances, broken by rumors, but we could not bleed. We had no more tears to shed, no more blood to give. We filled dams, oceans, and seas with our tears, yet, with all we've done, they could not see the beauty laced into our souls. Their misguided visions saw us still as the filth and rot of humanity. Shadowed waters. And we danced in the sky, suspended by our imaginations. We graced our way through sadness, emptied our minds of salvation. Our curiosity painted our pain, and we burned like falling cities, watching it all turn to dust. While the world moved around us, we stayed stagnant, terrified of change. And our souls indeed, they bled. Our memories became lies, ticking clocks awaiting climax. We hid in shapes, objects, whatever we could find, petrified by the voices of fear itself. We ran, stumbling over graves which printed our names in bold letters, foreshadowing our fates with sinister grins. Were we actually alive? We would have cared. We would have begged. But our minds were numbed. Our souls had succumbed. So we crawled, in no hurry to escape our fates. But as we reached the waters, our clothing soaked in blood, we sipped of pureness, peace in the land of sorrows. We closed our eyes, and while they never opened, they shone brighter than the stars ever could. Fighting fate. The path we chose took from us joy, free will, and hope. We were dying internally, feeding on our own wounds. We had become addicts to the pain which we were convinced kept us alive. While the world moved around us, we stayed stagnant, terrified of change. We believed the lies they spoke, and in return, we became those lies. We destroyed ourselves, became empty, broken shells, a mirror of that which we rebuked. We tried with failure to change ourselves, but as our skins became thinner and our voices smaller, our souls became ghosts, leaving us cold with nothing to lose. And while you walk the streets, passing us by and seeing us as diseases, we chuckle our last sunshine. Because deep down, under the plum skin and the shiny silk, you were us. Thank you.
And the dangers that need to be slayed will be the very heart and eyes that brought me here today. But I am only human, just a little girl. You were my father, my Prince Charming, my introduction into this world. All you are to me is a man. Pretentious, arrogant, absent completely, ignorant, capricious, drunken, never forgotten. You are my father. My eyes reflect your own, as does my misinterpreted passion coming across as stubborn vain. As I transformed, so did you, from the Prince Charming of a childhood haze, there to protect and respect. What I was becoming, you were creating. Once full of milk and hope, you now carry a bottle of guilt, dragging it behind as I drag in mind the sword of my prince, who sent me to bed and left me in time. I dreamed in time, dreamed I was a daughter, held in arms that I trust, to trust me. Lost in sleep, I find a father who not only I may covet, but a father who chose to covet me. In my dream, you are forgiven, as when I lay awake. But more than blood needs to be given when it is the truth we have at stake. To find such truth, I take a step back, hit with what has become a princess abandoned by her Prince Charming, left to fend for herself, to save her own life under the dying sun. Thank you.
There is a monster in my house. Mommy didn't believe me when I told her. She said monsters didn't exist. I'm 8 now, she said, and should know not to be scared. Daddy just said something I didn't understand. He was drinking a special drink. But I know someone is there. One day, Mommy and I walked into our small house from the side door. The front door was wide open. Mommy checked all the closets and opened all the doors, but she didn't find anything. But I knew. Then Daddy moved a few houses down. Mommy and Daddy got something called a divorce, so I don't get to see Daddy as much. But Mommy seems happier without him and the ice clinking in his dirty glass. But Mommy leaves a lot now. She gets me from school and goes to get what she calls tonic water with her tall friend Marcy. Marcy is nice, but she doesn't believe in the monster either. But I know someone is there. Mommy isn't home tonight. She left after dinner with Marcy. I played with my rag dolls, but then I got bored. I like books sometimes, so I read Junie B. Jones until that was boring too. Then I heard a noise. It was a quiet noise, like the crunch of snow under my feet. I got up to see who could have made it. It was dark. The red glow of the numbers on the clock shined 9:32. I wondered when Mommy would get home. Something hummed, but it wasn't the gray fridge or the beat-up heater. The wooden walls creaked. I began to feel afraid. I wanted to be brave like Mommy. I began to open all the closets and doors, one by one. I checked my room first, but I only found my patched clothes and a few old dolls. I went to Mommy's room and only saw her brightly colored bottles of paint for her face and nails. I checked the hallway, the bathroom, the tiny room with the TV. No monsters. I went to the very last door in the kitchen. It was a wooden cabinet, and I had to reach on my tiptoes to the metal handle. But I lost my balance and fell onto the tiled floor. I knocked over what was in the cabinet, green bottles and clear bottles and brown bottles, and some fell onto me. They shattered into a million pieces, the glass sparkling like dying stars. As I lay on the floor, I heard another humming sound, except this one was louder. Then I saw the monster out the window, until I realized that it was my mommy's black car. Thank you.
Hello. I'll be reading 2 poems today. The first one is called Depression, and it's about depression. There is a beast under my bed. It likes to whisper words in my head. The words that it says fill me with dread. You'll never be good enough, it said. There is a beast under my bed. There is a monster in my mirror. It likes to leap and lurk and leer. Its claws bring to me pain and fear. I want to see your tears, it sneers. There is a monster in my mirror. There is a creature in my closet. It likes to lie and be dishonest. It wants to see who will last the longest. You'll never find solace, it promised. There is a creature in my closet. There is a demon at my door. It likes to creep along my floor. It horrifies me with its roar. You're done for, it will implore. There is a demon at my door. And the next one I'll be reading is called With You. My beloved, I'm caught in a chronic connection with you, falling forever in furnished perfection, drowning in desolate, delirious devotion to you, soaring through saccharine's sweet, sublime skies, Cool, captivating chaos collides, whispering whimsical, warm words of wonder to you. Enraptured in exquisite, ineffable electricity, ablaze with amorous, aesthetic analyticity, lingering in luminous, lyrical love with you. Thank you.
To be honest, when I put this together, I never know how these are going to turn out, but I think we had some amazing performances today, and I want to thank all of our readers. And thanks for coming.